So these big ferries are pretty cool. Part of the BC Ferries fleet. You barely feel like you're on a boat. This particular one is called the Coastal Renaissance. If you live on the Gulf Islands, most of the time you drive onto an open flat deck and sit in your car or get out and roam around, grab some Doritos. You'll also probably be sick of ferries too. It's a pain in the ass to wait for the ferry and just sit in your car for half an hour or 45 minutes just to go to the dentist, doctor, or buy some crap that you can't get on island. It's our choice to be here though, so we all suck it up. The price ranges from about $15 to walk on up to $150 to get to Vancouver. As just a mental note, I add roughly $50 to the cost of my day when I take a trip off island. Some of the ferries we take from Salt Spring are pretty short, and again, you can spend hours waiting for the ferry, only to just do a quick 20-minute jaunt across the water. We waste a lot of our time sitting in our cars in the ferry loading area, just waiting to get on the ferry. I mean, if there's only 40 or 50 cars that can go on the ferry, and you're not one of the first 50, then you have to wait another 2 hours for the next ferry to come. If you have an appointment, that can be a pain in the ass.
Hello. Let's give the audience a few facts about these ferries, shall we? It looks like the ferry you took from Salt Spring to the Tawasan terminal on the mainland near Vancouver is called the Coastal Renaissance. That's a big ferry, with all mod cons, as we say, all of the modern conveniences. Comfy seats, a full kitchen, a few coffee bars, clean washrooms, lots of windows, and even some dog kennels and areas where your pets can run around. The Coastal Renaissance was built in 2007. The overall length is 160 meters. It has a maximum displacement of 10,034 tons. It can hold 310 cars, 1,604 passengers and crew. The maximum speed is 23 knots with a whopping 21,444 horsepower, which seems to me to be a rather odd way of expressing the amount of power this boat has over water, considering 21,000 horses would sink pretty quickly. It's a good thing there are 20 life rafts that carry 100 passengers, and 2 that can carry 50 passengers. Beyond that, there are 2 6-person rescue boats, which, in an emergency, they can assist by towing the life rafts to safety. Another ferry that shuttles the Gulf Island folk over to the mainland is the Salish Raven. The Salish-class ferries are the first within the BC fleet to use liquefied natural gas as a fuel source, which, according to our present understanding of science, reduces air emissions. The Salish Raven was built in 2017. It's quite a bit slower with a maximum speed of 15.5 knots, and there's only 5,052 sinking horses powering this one. It has an overall length of 107 meters and a maximum displacement of 4,227 tons. It can carry 600 passengers and crew with a car capacity of 138. It carries 2 rescue boats and 8 life rafts, each capable of taking 100 passengers. The quickest way to get off of Salt Spring Island by ferry is to head to Crofton on Vancouver Island. That takes about half an hour. You would be sailing on a ferry called the Quinitza. It's an old beater, built in 1977. At 77.5 meters long, it can take 44 cars and 300 people. If you are lucky, it will go 9.75 knots, which is full speed ahead. This ferry only has 1,900 horsepower, but it will get you off the island. You will spend more time waiting for it to arrive than you will actually being on the ferry itself. Salt Springers on their way to the capital of Canada, Victoria, will probably take the Skeena Queen. She's a beauty. Built in 1997, it is basically a giant floating flatbed truck, 110 meters long, 2 pop machines and a Doritos dispenser. It handles 92 cars as well as 450 passengers and crew. It can go 15.3 knots at full speed and has 6,000 four-legged horsepower. BC Ferries implemented a strict no-smoking policy a few years ago. You can't even smoke on the upper deck anymore. They used to have a little section up there with ashtrays. It was a cool place to interact with your fellow passengers while enjoying the view and having a smoke to help reduce the stress of having a ferry ride jammed in the middle of your day. Now the only thing allowed to smoke is the ferry itself. And some of these ferries are taking some giant bong hits, if you know what I mean. That smoke looks fairly clean. You should see how black it can be when they first hit the gas pedal. Some of these ships can sure be smoky. Check this one out. But make sure you don't have a puff on your vape or light a cigarette when you are on a BC ferry. Unless you have brought a couple of $1,000 with you. Then it's okay. I guess that's what they call fuck you money. It would be nice to have a bit of that, because that's what they will fine you if you get caught. Best to just have a smoke in your car, or grab a quick puff while you're having a poo. With all of that said about BC ferries, I hear your off-island dentist, and many Salt Springers too, would build a bridge to Vancouver Island in a second. The argument for building a bridge to Vancouver Island is that it would bring more tourists to the island. Conversely, the argument for not building a bridge is that it would bring more tourists to the island. It's a kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't scenario. Personally, I'm all in for government-subsidized speedboats for everyone who lives on the island. It would certainly make the trip off island a lot more fun and stress-free. depending on the weather and your boating skills. Now would be a good time to run the rest of that video, or video, as they say in Thailand. The video of you on the coastal Renaissance ferry heading toward the Vancouver airport and, ultimately, to Bangkok. Hit it, fancy pants.
I know a place where we can go and be alone. So come away with me, nobody has to know where we gonna go. I was just calling to see if you're free to run away with me, to run away with me. Don't tell your friends, we'll let them know we're safe later on. The road's calling, sun on our skin, sleeping under stars when it's gone. I was just calling to see if you're free to run away with me, to run away with me, to run away with me, to run away with me. Away with
Dear passengers, welcome to Bangkok. For your safety, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened.
I think it's time you end this video. You may have gone down one too many rabbit holes on this one. I thought this was supposed to be a travel vlog. Just how do you expect people to subscribe to this channel when you take them on such a wild, meandering ride?